I watch One Punch Man at 0.5 times speed so that I could spot every single difference between its anime and its manga. And if you spot any differences that I missed, then please let me know in the Discord below. There's a link for it, you can hop on in and we all yap about all the differences before I post my video every Sunday. Anyway, like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Now, right off the bat, to be a contrarian, his eyes are the wrong shape and he's missing a button on his shirt. Not to mention, we're missing 4 buttons on this guy's shirt here. We're supposed to see a gush of wind come across the screen here just to show how, you know, empty and desolate this area is. Not to mention, it's an entirely different look than it is in the manga. Sure, there is a bridge in the background, that's correct, but the buildings to the right and left are very much different. And we're supposed to get some of the A-class heroes talking about the absence of people, showing their determination to take back this desolate area of the city. In this shot here of Child Emperor walking up towards the Esper, we're supposed to get Child Emperor looking around, saying he can't see King, he can't find him. But in the anime, he simply walks up, eyes locked, no head movement to be seen. Not to mention, we're supposed to see Flashy Flash in the top left of the screen, but they removed him, probably because drawing capes moving in the wind is difficult. Instead of cutting straight to Child Emperor here, we're supposed to get reactions from some of more of the A-class heroes, saying things like he acts fast, but he is what he is. And our queen saying it's too bad. I was hoping to see his moves up close, but we skip over these 2 panels just to cut to this internal monologue of Child Emperor. Instead of having detailed close-ups showing the designs of these characters that we're going to be introduced to in more detail, giving them the spotlight that they kind of deserve as sidecast, we get this massive panning shot missing a lot of details of these characters out of pose and in some cases out of design, all moving only their mouths and nothing else about their design while they talk, even though one of them is supposed to be blowing a bubble. That bubble is supposed to pop, and then, to break the anxiety of the situation, Zombie Man is supposed to blow out some smoke and point ahead. Instead, we just get a cut to the monsters before Zombie Man points them out, and then we cut back to the same image. This is really friggin' drawing, I'm not gonna lie. Conversations are dynamic in One Punch Man because we get to see the characters up close and their emotional reaction to their faces. In the anime, their faces don't move. There's no expression on their face. Not to mention, he missed a shot of the monsters appearing from the distance and the older shoulder view of our heroes. Instead, we cut straight to the close-up picture of the monsters revealing themselves, which is missing a tentacle monster pulling itself out of the ground. This shot here that's repeated is supposed to be only the S-class heroes with the A-class in the back, then a over-the-shoulder shot of the monsters approaching the heroes, and then Super Ally Darkshine's reaction to this interaction. Then we're supposed to get the close-up of Atomic Samurai and his disciple talking. Instead, they skip over all of that just to cut to Atomic Samurai. And then, in this shot here, the background is very much different in many ways, but it's not so different that it's distracting. What is distracting is how that cloth is moving. We skip over a panel of a close-up of the clown girl again, talking, saying that she hears them all around him, and that they're surrounded. Then the cloth is supposed to fly in. Here, Tatsumaki and Child Emperor look somewhat surprised as to what they're looking at. But in the anime, they look, well, blank. They look like they've been inserted into like a default emotional state rather than the surprise they're supposed to be feeling. In the anime, the background here that blows up is just a building that didn't exist before but suddenly exists now. But in the manga, they pull cable carts off the cables and throw them one on top of another to create a barrier so that the heroes cannot escape. And out of those cable carts come monsters pouring out in all directions. Here we miss a panel of one of the A-class heroes saving Senegal from the monsters, pushing him to safety. A close-up of Senegal rather than just the wider panel we had in the anime, and a close-up of our little edgelord over here prying his weapons open, as well as some of the other A-class heroes also preparing in the ways that they do. This might not sound like much, but this is a total of 8 panels that they just skip over here to cut straight to Tatsumaki. And what's her reaction? Deadpan nothing. The same way it is in the manga. However, the manga had these high tension and reactive moments to contrast with Tatsumaki's no nonsense. They also switch the order of many things. We miss this close-up of over the shoulders on our big boy Jagan, and also skip over the massive detailed page spread of Jagan saying that they are pitiful, and the close-up where he is introduced. Instead, cutting to a panning shot of a load of faceless and nobody monsters, and then cutting to Child Emperor Tatsumaki, Zombie Man, and Super Ally Darkshine talking about how they're outnumbered and how their numbers are increasing. This is where they have the over-the-shoulder shot that was in a previous page in the manga, and the wide panel shot when he says how pitiful. I'll put these two images, side by side so you can see the differences yourself up close. We're supposed to be missing a perspective image showing Peri Peri Prisoner and the distance between him, Tatsumaki, and our new combatant. Not to mention the severe lack in detail in the background monsters, Tatsumaki's aura, his aura, and overall detail in the image. This pan here isn't in the manga per se. We get a close-up, clearly indicating that he's doing something, but it's a close-up on his hood, not on his hand, and a really, really weird way of showing us that this rubble and building is moving. They decide to move the camera at the same pace as the stuff going on in the background, making it almost impossible to tell that our foreground is moving up while the stuff on front of the camera is actually supposed to be standing still. If the camera stayed static, this would look fine. It wouldn't look bad at all. But because it's a panning up shot where the camera is moving with the background and what's up close to us, it makes it really, really weird to look at. This shot is used later in the manga than it is here in the anime, and that's because they skip over 2 panels showing the rubble being lifted up in a dynamic way, as well as the reaction of some of the A and S class heroes. They change the order of panels and scenes here as well, where straight after Senegal's reaction, we're supposed to get the close-up of Tatsumaki, which we don't get. Instead, we get an image from 3 panels later, then the close-up of Tatsumaki, and then a reuse of the image that they had before, so that they can monologue a bit longer with this character, where the shot is supposed to be showing a close-up of his arm both from behind and in front. Then a close-up of the same image again, but even more zoomed in this time. The building he throws are slightly different, and they skip over a close-up panel of one of the buildings getting destroyed and seeing a bit more detail in how that happens, plus a perspective shot of the impact from below Tatsumaki's barrier. But instead we cut straight to this really wide open view of the collision, missing some lightning bolts for some reason. Not sure why there was lightning bolts, but it's not present in the anime. We miss a panel of our little baby Ember thanking Tatsumaki. This shot is slightly different in the manga. It's actually like a vertical shot where we see a little chibi Tatsumaki pissed off down at the bottom while Senegal is like pleading with her at the top. But here instead we just have like a shot where I'm glad they add a bit more to the shot instead of just him standing there shouting. There's a bit of like foreground depth by adding Peri Peri Prisoner closer to the camera. In this shot of the impact of the rubble that My Mask throws, we're supposed to get a reaction from some of the other A-class heroes, and the rubble also isn't just a big rock with rebar sticking out of it. It's like actually a part of the building that you can visibly tell the difference between. We don't get this perspective shot of My Mask in the manga at all. Obviously the detail between Tatsumaki here and in the manga is vastly different. Her hair is, off model, and so is her figure. But the big thing about this is that the animation happening with his aura is just not even close to the way it is in the manga. In the manga, his fingers are glowing with this sort of like temporal fog. But here it's just a big purple mess of textures with some weird smoky tendrils flying towards it rather than away. Her pose here is incorrect. She has her hands on her hips here, but she's supposed to have them crossed. This art here is a little off model. Her head is far more egg-shaped than it's meant to be, while also being, way too thin. Not only is Tatsumaki supposed to have that her psychic barrier is way bigger than his, and also he just doesn't have one here, like at all. It's supposed to be that like visual contrast of little girl, big power, big guy, less power. Also, there's supposed to be loads of rubble in this wind that kicks up, showing that she is capable of destruction, not just a little gust of wind, which makes what the characters say after this kind of like really lame, because they're like, wow, she's so powerful, when all she did was, a little bit of wind. These buildings that we see here in the background, they're supposed to be getting ripped apart by Tatsumaki's tornado, and the tornado is supposed to be like far more contrasting in color from the background to show once again how devastating and destructive it is. We skip over a reaction of the A-class heroes seeing the buildings near them getting destroyed, cutting straight to this guy's reaction to the destruction. And once again, we miss the perspective shot of the monsters seeing the A-class heroes, and then we see them simply floating towards them rather than, any form of jump animation. In this shot here, it's not supposed to be a still image. It's supposed to be, her fighting off and killing the monsters that she just did. Or even, new monsters. It's kind of hard to tell right now, but regardless, she should be moving and fighting in this shot. Hence why he's not just shooting the target standing still. We're supposed to get a close-up of his eye and his reaction to the fact that his, head's about to be blown the hell up. But instead we skip over that realization and just to his head evaporating. We're also missing the perspective shot showing the sniper and his body keeling over on the balcony he's on, showing how far away our own hero sniper is. And not to mention, his reveal is flipped in terms of its perspective on the screen. Not to mention, he's supposed to get a 17 panel fight scene by himself where he takes on a load of monsters all rushing him down. And it's really, really cool. He's like flipping this sniper around and hitting pinpoint shots really close up, while also showing that he's got the dexterity to fucking dodge a big monster swinging a sword at him and hitting horizontal 360s. The aura this guy has in this scene is actually nasty. Really reminds me of someone from Trigun, but also shows that he shit himself and was not happy about that, so he fled and hid behind Peri Peri Prisoner because his gun jammed. But they skip over all that just so they can have this monster come out of the ground, attack him, get tied up, and get sliced. While in the manga, he gets tied up by the tree guy, but then the tree guy tears him into pieces and brings those parts underground, only tying up 2 other monsters for that guy to cut up. Now, whether this happened because of censorship or because of the time crunch, it really is disappointing to not let our A-class heroes get their moment in the light. To be fair, it's not like they were animated anyway. This monster here is missing his horns, and whether these are horns or not, it just looks like his hairline, if it is supposed to be his horns. How are you supposed to tell the difference? So he's missing his horns. Crazy that was the fight that was best animated so far, but honestly, I'm kind of happy about it. So instead of those monsters just being cut up by something we can't see, it's supposed to happen behind our flamboyant king. He's supposed to bounce off each one of these monsters, cutting him up as he lands, then jumping into the sky and spinning around some more, killing even more monsters, hitting this dynamic pose as he finishes it up. But instead they skip over all that and just have him, jump into the cool pose. Although these are just still images being moved with a background and a simple positioning change, it actually works really well for just this short fight here. Her fight style is really start-stop and moments happen instantly, so it really works well. But we're supposed to see that she replaced herself with a log with a smiley face, and that is unforgivable to miss. The perspective of this shot is very different than it is in the manga. In the manga, it very clearly says that she's supposed to mutter this. Here, she very clearly says it and then runs off, but she's supposed to say it as she's running away. Really not wanting anything to do with Flashy Flash for some reason. Not to mention the background is different. We're supposed to see a weird, grotesque hand with the ninja stars in it. This view of Flashy Flash is supposed to be facing the other way, and they forgot to put the stars on his chest. In his close-up shot, he's supposed to be way more distressed than he is in this shot. Senegal is he wants to be a hero. He wants to be the right guy, but he lacks the grit. He's a little bit of a coward here. Maybe not a coward, but he's certainly out of his element and stressed. Now, basically, we're supposed to get a little fight scene with these 4 heroes here, but it's completely skipped over in the anime. So I'm simply going to mark a change for every panel that they did not adapt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 panels. They also skip over Mitsuki for some reason and cut straight to Poison, who is a C-class hero, who's supposed to get his scene way later in the manga. Senegal's also supposed to be running away from this monster. Then Poison grabs him and saves him. The monster's supposed to be by himself, and also the cut is supposed to be on his arm, showing that it doesn't need to be a fatal wound because, well, this guy's poison. And we're supposed to see him struggling with the poison before we see him lie down on the ground, because this gives Senegal the opportunity to shoot someone with his laser eye, showing that he also has some battle spirit in him. Even though it doesn't do much, we actually get to see smoke coming off the area where Senegal actually hits him with the blast. So obviously they maybe wanted to include that scene because it is quite important to show his like characterization. Then we cut back to Captain Mitsuki slapping her face and warming herself up as she does her stretches. Also missing the fact that she passes Senegal a whistle in order to start her off. But because the order of things is different and Senegal isn't with her, we miss the interaction of her asking him to blow it for her, instead cutting straight to her starting position. We're supposed to get a view from underneath her legs impacting the ground, but instead we get this side running shot of her running at top speed. Then we get the shot of the close-up of the legs. Now, to be fair, this is pretty damn accurate to the manga, except we get this close-up of her flying over the enemy before she does her spin and javelin attack. This shot of her falling is only in the anime. We miss a panel of her javelin send out 2 spikes that stop the blade from being immediately pulled out of the monster so that she can use it as a hammer. And then we see the blades retract so that she can launch the monster away, tunneling and knocking down loads of monsters in their path. Instead, she just spins around for a bit and like that's it. We actually don't see Super Ally Darkshine run up here. We just see him aura slap these 2 monsters away in an instant. This interaction at the end between Super Ally Darkshine and Captain Mitsuki is slightly different. They cut it into 2 separate images when it's supposed to be a perspective shot of Super Ally Darkshine walking away. Here we skip over a fight scene with Football Battler and Monster Roper Shell to cut straight to this interaction between Atomic Samurai's disciples and the little Esper kid. We skip over a panel of Captain Mitsuki here, saying that we beat all our opponents. Then the close-up of Atomic Samurai and Zombie Man are both significantly different. We skip over this panel, which is supposed to add perspective while Child Emperor is having his monologue. We're supposed to get a different perspective shot of the Rhino towering over all the other intimidating monsters as he stomps through them. But instead, we skip over 2 panels just to cut to this wide spanning one. Skip over this close-up shot of him shouting, and 3 other panels of setup before this panel here, where he talks about how he wants to prove everyone wrong for judging him badly in the past. In the anime, it's quite unclear as to what's happening here, because we get that star animation immediately, and it bounces off every corner, but once it bounces off the last corner, it's supposed to fly back around and hit him in the horn in this panel. But instead, we just hard cut to something hitting the guy's horn. We don't know where the hell that came from. Didn't come from him because we didn't see it move that way. The character spinning here is actually like really well done, to be honest. It's just that for some reason, after the spin, they just have like a panning image of him looking pretty happy, honestly, flying through the air. Not present in the manga at all, by the way, but for some reason it's here. And when he rates Violent Star is already on the ground, and we can see this in 2 separate panels. But then Captain Mitsuki runs and tries to grab his Morning Star, which for some reason immediately turns into a ball. I don't know why. This is in the manga too. I think it's supposed to like clank up, but that because there's a clank sound effect. But in the anime, like there's no sound effect, so it just becomes a ball. Also in the manga, Morningstar is supposed to not only pull the ball away from Captain Mitsuki, but also grab her by the hand and toss her to safety. Instead, she just falls to safety, not needing that hand. Our sniper boy takes a few shots, and although they hit him, they immediately bounce off and hit structures in the background. But in the anime, although visually it seems that bullets have hit the wall there, it is so unclear that that was caused by the bullets that just bounced off our character, because we didn't see that happen. We're only given the situation after the fact. We don't get this close-up, we get straight into a close-up of him charging straight into a hero. But for some reason in the anime, he charges for a good bit, facing the wrong direction, and doesn't bump into a hero until he comes into contact with Atomic Samurai's apprentice. So, essentially, we're going to do another counting of panels that they skip over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one. So 4 panels they skipped over just to cut to this here. The rest of which is pretty accurate to the manga, apart from when the heroes come in for that collision. Because we're supposed to get the ultimate jet straight, a big Achu blast, and then everyone else comes in for their attack. And then we get to see him sort of tense up, swing a single punch, and knocking them all on their arses judging each and every single one of them as he hits them. These two characters are in the wrong positions, something that I didn't notice before, but there is also censorship from Murata's version of the manga with how Captain Mitsuki is dressed. They skip over a bonus chapter here, which to be fair doesn't need to be included, but they have included them in the past. We'll just count each panel as one difference. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Instead of just a collision shot here of him getting pushed back, we're supposed to see that he is continuing to swing as he's getting pushed back here. So I'm going to count as many impacts as they left out, which is 4. This shot of Goroguro's drone type thing isn't supposed to be here yet. We're supposed to see a different perspective shot here of over the shoulder from the apprentice facing down the beast, saying he wants to continue. In this shot in the manga, his eye is supposed to be glossed over for, I guess, some form of dramatic effect. The perspective of the monsters here is slightly different, showing a slightly different array of monsters, but, keeping a decent amount of detail with Monster Lord Orochi. The dialogue that we get from the monsters is supposed to be from Goroguro's perspective. We get to see his hands and everything. It's literally a POV of his judgmental face. But instead, we use the same image as before, and I say image because, well, it is just a still image that moves, of them talking. Then we're also supposed to get a dark and shadowed version of these monsters from a much lower point of view, while Goroguro's dreadful face is now shrouded in darkness, showing that he's not taking any of this coward crap. But of course, we have to wait for him to actively say it in the anime without that being hinted at. Also, although this isn't accurate to his design, this guy's supposed to be a slug. I kind of adore the fact that they were just like, make bro an egg. This shot needed to be different. See, Monster Lord Orochi's teeth are like so condensed and tight in this image, but in the manga it just goes to show the scale of Monster Lord Orochi. It would add so much hype to this scene, but instead we have this like side close-up of seeing, oh yeah, that's just some guy's mouth from outside. In the anime, it's just some guy's mouth. Like, we can just sell out to guy's mouth. He might have a few extra teeth, but it's just a guy's mouth. But in the manga, it's this honestly aura-farming fucking picture of Monster Lord Orochi, his teeth alone, not the jaw, but just the teeth alone being so fucking huge that it takes up the entire panel. And then this super detailed image of a full image of Lord Orochi in his weird beanbag chair. Just, it is such a good picture. The rest is pretty much close to the source material, but needless to say, although there was some animation in this episode, I would have enjoyed more, a lot more.